Good afternoon. I'm Alan Unell, and this series of videos is Healthcare Advocacy, where we address problems in the healthcare system and then take action to try and make a better system for all of us. We have a lot of topics today, including some news about psoriasis, which I found really interesting. Anyway, before we get to all of that, down below in the YouTube description box, you'll find the link for the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter that is the text for this video. You can subscribe for free. We don't charge for that. You get it delivered almost every day to every weekday to your email. It has all of the links to the stories and medical journal reports and medical studies and all of the actions that I describe, as well as a host of references, medical references and organizational action references. So let's get started. First, I want to talk about psoriasis. It turns out that a derivative of the diuretic drug, amiloride, which is the brand name is Midamor, blocked key inflammatory pathways in mouse models of psoriasis, including xenografts of psoriatic human skin, as well as in cultured patient skin samples. Researchers discovered. The skin cells were taken from human psoriasis patients and then reconstructed into tissue and then grafted onto immunodeficient mice. And, if they did nothing, it showed pronounced psoriform hyperplasia. So they got psoriasis where you put the cells in. However, when they treated with a placebo solution, right, you got to use a placebo. But when they treated it with benzyl amiloride, no abnormal growth was seen, no psoriasis. In addition, cultured experiments, like in the Petri dish, with cultured psoriatic skin cells showed that the agent prevented cell growth driven by epidermal growth factor. This was published in Science Translational Medicine, and there's a link to their published report. You can go read it. The live animal studies also showed that benzyl amiloride, also known as Benzamil, effectively inhibited skin inflammation when given systemically or topically. And you can find a link to the MedPage Today article on this. You can, if you hunt around, I don't apply this right away. You want to wait until this is approved for human use. But this stuff is in over-the-counter medicines. But wait till the FDA says okay. Defense funding bill of shame. The House this past week, Wednesday, passed an $895.2 billion defense policy bill. It includes a provision to prohibit the military's healthcare system from providing specialized treatment to the transgender children of U.S. service members. The National Defense Authorization Act passed 281 to 140, with fewer than half of House Democrats backing the traditionally bipartisan legislation. Now, the Senate must also approve it before it can be sent to President Biden to be signed into law. Now, look, personally, I spent 40 years of my life supporting the U.S. government and the military. But by denying care to a tiny minority in such a hateful way, I want to let you know this is just wrong. And I recommend you let your senators know. I did. If you want to know something else wrong with this bill, it also precludes the Department of Defense from doing anything positive about climate change, because who thinks that's real? Okay, look, let's take an action. Let's tell our senators, don't vote for the defense authorization bill that contains anti-trans and anti-climate change language. You can call or email them and let them know, and I'll include a link in the YouTube description box so you can get their contact information. Or on your cell phone, you can send them a text. You can send a text message on your cell phone that will send them an email that I've written for you. All you have to do is send a text message to 50409, and the message is sign, SIGN, space, PRCYFQ. Sign PRCYFQ to 50409. This is ResistBot. Let me tell you, if it's the first time you're using it, It will ask for your name, address, and phone number, and email address to make sure it correctly locates your officials. Here's the message you'll send. As a constituent, I want you to know that the Defense Authorization Bill coming to you contains language prohibiting the military from paying for transgender care for the children of service members. We should be doing all we can to support those who voluntarily choose to protect us, not denying coverage for those who need it. I strongly urge you to let everyone know where you stand for fairness and inequality with respect to this bill, and I want you to vote no. P.S. The bill also prohibits the DoD from doing anything positive about climate change. I want to talk about a Medicaid tax loophole. A friend of mine who's a university professor sent me a link to a story about this, and I want to share it with you because it's important, because this is more people cheating the government with respect to health care. There is a loophole in the Medicaid tax law. So let me describe it for you. Social Security taxes and Medicaid taxes, Social Security taxes are taken on a fixed amount of income. It's $168,860. If you earn beyond that, they don't take Social Security. But Medicaid taxes apply to all earned income. Well, it turns out not quite all. These taxes are generally applied to wage or self-employment income. Hedge fund billionaires that direct the investments of giant funds are skipping paying Medicare taxes legally. Steve Cohen, a controversial hedge fund manager, avoided $11 million in Medicare taxes. Now let me give you the background, because it's complicated how it wound up this way. Many government employees pay into a pension system that is different from Social Security. Now 50 years ago, in the 1970s, some clever investment firms noticed that if you were in a limited partnership, that's a kind of investment, where every investor is a limited partner, then whatever income that investment made was subject to Social Security and Medicare taxes. If those government workers invested in those partnerships, they could then collect Social Security and their government pension together. Well, Congress was really offended, and so they closed the loophole so that if you're part of a limited partnership investment, either a general partner that does work or a limited partner, that income is not subject to Social Security or Medicare taxes. Hedge fund managers noticed this, and they arranged for their income for managing the fund to come from a limited partnership investment. Isn't that charming? Sometimes only the hedge fund and the manager are the only partners in that limited partnership that pays the manager. Steve Cohen did this. He had an income of well over $100 million, it was about $140 million, and he got to avoid paying $11 million in Medicare taxes. The IRS is investigating this one. Now, we can pressure Congress to do two things. First, make sure the IRS is well funded to go after these kinds of cheats and collect the money they owe to we the people. Second, they can work to close loopholes like this one and allow the rich to skate by without paying their fair share. There is a link to the ProPublica investigation in my newsletter. So here's the action. Let's tell our senators, members of Congress, to make sure the IRS has all the funding they need to go after wealthy tax cheats. It turns out that investing that way is very profitable for our government coffers. They make a lot of money back from tax cheats. We need to do that to make sure that we, the government, are sufficiently funded. Second, we need to ask them to look into this limited partnership loophole that allows people to skate by and not pay Medicare taxes. Now, there's a link. You can call or email your government representatives, or use ResistBot. Just send a text message to 50409. The message is sign, S-I-G-N, space PQVTOS to 50409. If it's your first time, ResistBot will ask for your name, address, phone number, and email to make sure it gets the right representatives. Here's the message. I'm your constituent, and I want you to know that there is a loophole in the tax code that allows wealthy limited partnership managers to avoid paying Medicare taxes on the income they make, advising the partnership or other funds. Here's a link to the ProPublica investigation. I put that in so the legislative analyst can read it. I'm writing to ask you to do two things. First, make sure the IRS has enough funding to go after wealthy tax cheats. Second, work to close this loophole to make sure that Medicare taxes are really paid. After all, these people are cheating all of us. Thank you. That's what I have for you. Down below, please like, share, subscribe, send me comments. You can also send comments to healthcareadvocacy1, all one word, @gmail.com. Have a good evening.